Hi, I just want to welcome everyone here. My name is Rabbi Steve Burg. I'm the CEO of Aish Torah, this building that you're in right now. And as I say all the time, this building really, we actually call it the United Nations of the Jewish world. We have everyone coming through here. It's really a beautiful spot, and we're very blessed to have you here. As a matter of fact, I was just mentioning, we have you here, UN ambassadors, for lunch, and we have a number of U.S. ambassadors. They're going to be eating dinner right on top of us. For tonight's Shabbat dinner. I think it's U.S. ambassador from Germany, from Poland, from Israel, a few different countries. So it's really amazing to have you here. I want to thank Mark Goldman, who always sponsors this for us. He's a long time. Matter of fact, if you go about one floor down, you'll be at the largest banquet hall in the old city, called the Goldman Banquet Hall. So we are longtime friends. I want to thank him. I also want to thank Ambassador Danon, who's really amazing. I just want you to know something. I was sitting next to him, and he starts to tell me about a speech he gave last week, and he says, you should read it. I said, are you kidding me? And I start to recite the speech because it was incredible. He's really, to me, and to many, many of us, viewed as a real hero, someone who really is representing our interests, not only in a passionate way, but in an articulate way, which is really, really important. And I'm sure, being on this trip, you'll get to know him and know why we love him as much as we do. I'll just leave you just a few words from the Bible. Being we're here in a Jewish Wisdom Institute, we get about 150,000 people that come through here to study every single year. And we just finished the holiday of Passover, right? And in Hebrew, we say Pesach, right? That's the Hebrew word. And of course, the Hebrew word translates as Passover. And typically, it is understood that God passed over the Jewish people, right, to basically go after the Egyptians who were enslaving them and killing them and doing all sorts of bad things for them. So the first chief rabbi of Israel was a fellow by the name of Rav Kook. First chief rabbi in the last century. His name was Rav Kook. And he didn't like that so much. He felt that, God is just kind of passing over, leaving you behind to go deal with the bad guys. It didn't really speak to him as much. So he found another word in the Bible that had that word Pesach in it, and I'll just read it for you. It talks about the story of Elijah, when Elijah on Mount Carmel. If you go up to Haifa, you see famous Mount Carmel. There was a famous back and forth with Elijah and some of the other false prophets, right? And they had a contest there. Elijah turns to everyone and he says, in Hebrew, Vayigash Eliyahu el kol ha'am. Elijah turns to the nation, Vayomer ad mosei atem poschim al shtei seifim. Right? He says, how long poschim Pesach, that's that word, right? Will you sit on this fence, right? Will you not choose which direction you're going, the good direction or the bad direction? So Rav Kook explained that word poschim in this context is more to dwell within. It wasn't that God just passed over the Jews to go deal with the bad guys. It was that he was in the homes with the Jews, holding them up as he does for so many of us so many times, that God raises us up. But I think there's something also important in that verse. And why is that word found in that verse? Because it talks about sitting on the fence. And what Elijah is basically saying is we can't always live life sitting on the fence. Sometimes there's good versus evil, right? Sometimes we need to speak up. We need to act out. We need to take a stand. And the Passover story is always that of Moses, who grew up in a very anti-Semitic house. He grew up in a house with a adopted father who literally killed babies. And he had to make a break from that to say, this is wrong. And I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to do something about it. And so many times for us, right, certainly within the political world, but even in everyday life, it's hard. It's hard to kind of break out of a status quo and to always do the right thing. Ask any teenager what it's like to have that type of peer pressure. And as adults, we have the same peer pressure. So your jobs are so important because so many times it would be easier just not to take the important stand. But the fact that you have in your heart and character to be able to speak up when you see things that are just plain wrong is really remarkable. And I just want to end kind of where I began. I think that my role model, and I hope your role model, is really someone like Ambassador Danon, someone who really stands up and will say it like it is. And I think that has been very refreshing for us to see his passion, and I said his articulate passion, and his ability to really do that. And I'd like to ask him if he could just come up to say a few words for us.